feel like we got the right people as players, as coaches that have had success, and we're all searching for answers to make it more consistent.
Aren't we all? Nick Sirianni and company searching for answers on the offensive side of the ball. As we welcome you here to Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL. And look who is here. We had to call in reinforcements after that debacle. The Hall of Famer Ray Didinger himself alongside, and of course that's me, little old Amy Fadool. Don't worry about that. You don't need to know. But Ray, it is great to see you. Happy early Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, Amy.
We did have to bring you in because it was a debacle on Sunday. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, it was.
When you watched it, like, at what point did you think, no, they're not going to do it. This is not happening, is it?
It was somewhere in the middle of the third quarter when the reality began sinking in to me that they could very well blow this game. They could very well blow this game because the offense had just gone dead in the water. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a single sign of life in the offense. And they're 3 and out. And the Dallas Cowboys were the number 1 passing offense in football. They are the number 2 scoring offense in football. You keep handing them the ball and handing them the ball and handing them the ball, at some point they're going to get it going. Mm-hmm. And for all those analytics people who say there's no such thing as momentum in sports, that every play is its own individual play and there's no such thing as momentum, go back and look at the second half of that game. There was a classic case of momentum taking over a game. And once the Cowboys got it rolling, the Eagles couldn't stop their offense. And once the Eagles' offense went dead, there was no way to revive it.
Yeah, it was a gift that kept on giving, really. If you think about it, Christmas came early for the Cowboys in that one. As we check out our three-point stance presented by Toyota. First up, there are many questions surrounding this Eagles team. We are just about 2/3 away through the season. 11 games down, 6 to go. Eagles 8-3. They're inspiring a lot of confidence right now. Here's Nick Sirianni on his team's mindset moving forward.
When we talk about identity, we always want to play tough, detailed together. That's never changing. But the way you play each individual game obviously can change. So it can't be just, hey, well, we got to run it better, or hey, we got to pass it better, or hey, we got to play action better. Because at some point in each of these games that we have left, and really all that we're focused on is this next one, it'll have to be a little bit of everything and to reach the goals that we want to reach.
All right, Ray, you dug up these numbers. The Eagles' record the season after each of their 5 Super Bowl appearances: 10-6 in '81, 6-10 in 2005, 9-7 in 2018, 11-6. Fool's gold, 11-6 in 2023, 8-3 so far this year. Only 1 playoff win in all of these seasons that you're seeing from 81, 05, 18, and 23. In other words, tough sledding after a Super Bowl appearance. Are the Eagles in danger of going down that road again?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. And that was one of the things that coming into the season that concerned me was that history of this team the year after a Super Bowl. And everybody can say that, oh, every year is different and every team is different and you can't compare one to the other. But a pattern is a pattern here. And each of those years started off with high expectations and just unraveled. And the other part of it was, and this is one of the things that I didn't know what it was going to be, but in each of those years, there was always some kind of drama that came out of somewhere. The 81 year, after the Eagles went to the Super Bowl with Dick Vermeil, the next year, you heard players you heard whispers. Coach is working us too hard. Practices are too long. Meetings are too long. It's wearing us down. Didn't hear any of that the previous year.
Of course not.
But the next year, all of a sudden, there were these questions. Then Andy Reid's team goes to a Super Bowl. They come back the next year, and the TO, and Donovan McNabb thing blows up. So that becomes drama for an entire year. Then the Eagles actually go and win a Super Bowl. Okay. Then the next year, all of a sudden, Carson Wentz, he's not the leader we thought he was. Right. He's unpopular. The guys don't like him in the locker room. He's arrogant. He takes too much authority away from the coaches, blah, 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 blah. More drama, okay? So my feeling coming into this year was, okay, what's it going to be? It's going to be something. Yeah. We know from history it's going to be something, and here we are.
And here we are.
We've got the whole A.J. Brown thing. We've got the questions about now all of a sudden people in the organization are questioning the quarterback. Now, I don't know if this is epidemic to every team that wins a Super Bowl. Maybe this happens in other cities. I don't know. But it sure happens in Philadelphia. Maybe it's the passion of the fans, the fact that there's incredible scrutiny here. The media is pretty aggressive and they're always looking for a story. Maybe that contributes to it. But it comes back every year, and it's taken down each one of those teams and kept them from getting back to a Super Bowl. We'll see now if it's going to do the same to this team.
That's a really good point. When you think about that, that pattern is there. Well, the Eagles' biggest concern is the subject of tonight's second stance. The offense, it needs fixing. They're averaging fewer than 16 points in the last 3 games. Nick Sirianni is staying the course in terms of the play calling, sticking with Kevin Patullo. Here's the head coach on the offensive coordinator's role in Sunday's loss.
I thought Kevin did a good job of calling it. You know, obviously he's going to want plays back, just like every player and myself. We all want plays back, and when you're going through it like that, that's what you're always looking at. Is, you know, and it's never in football just one thing. Even though you're always trying to find answers.
Still trying to find some answers to see the Eagles' offensive ranks this season. So, Ray, simple question. Sticking with Kevin Patullo is the right call, you think, or not? And what needs to happen to get this offense back on track?
They have to try to do some things differently. When you look at where they rank, this is not an accident, okay?
Right.
We're 11 games in. Mm-hmm. If you're 23rd in this category and 24th in this category and 27th in this category, that's what you are, okay? So there's no magic wand that anybody can wave. One thing that Nick Sirianni says, and he says it over and over again, and I kind of agree with him on this point, it's never about one person, nor is it ever about one thing. It's a lot of different stuff. But, okay, you got to try and fix it, okay? And to me, one of the things that jumps out is this offense is so stationary. I mean, they're in the same formation all the time. You never see people in motion. They don't challenge defenses to adjust, to react, to kind of say, wait a minute, what are they doing now? A defense can just settle in and play against this team because they don't represent any challenges to them. That to me is one very obvious thing, is they have to do some different things. Now, I think the biggest problem, I think it all traces back to the offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, the offensive line is just not as good as it was last year. The guys are all hurt. They're playing through injuries. They're just not as effective. They came into this season with the same game plan and the same playbook as last year. Mm-hmm. Of course, if you win the Super Bowl, you're not going to change.
Run the ball.
But the fact is they're trying to win with the same formula and the same playbook, but they don't have the same line. Mm-hmm. And that's and somewhere between now and the finish line, they have to try and find some new things to introduce that can maybe get this offense started again.
Yeah, just too predictable. I think you've heard that a couple different times. Switching sides of the ball. Now, this is our third stance and centering on the defense. They got some problems of their own, particularly in the secondary, where Reed Blankenship, Andrew Mukuba, Dory Jackson all left Sunday's game with injuries. Mukuba has a fractured ankle, could be lost for the season. We don't know that just yet, but that is a possibility. Sidney Brown's going to fill in for Mukuba at safety. Here's defensive coordinator Vic Fangio today on Sidney Brown's development this season.
Yeah, I think he's been doing a good job in practice with the reps that he does get. He's done a good job staying in tune in the meetings and the walkthroughs, and I'm excited to see how he does.
So he's excited to see how he does. Fangio did add that he expects Reed Blankenship to play on Sunday. No word yet on Adoree Jackson, who's still in concussion protocol. But how confident are you in Sidney Brown filling in for Mukuba, Ray?
Sidney Brown was one of my favorite players coming out of college. Mm-hmm. In fact, he was one of my sleepers coming out of the draft that year. I just love the way he plays. I love the fire he brings to the field. I love his physicality. The only thing sometimes he has to understand how to channel that. Sometimes he gets a little too aggressive, will overrun a play, and he hasn't played a whole lot from scrimmage. He's been mostly a special teams guy. Now he's going to have to be in there, and he's going to have to really be thinking a lot. And you don't want him to make a mental mistake in a key situation. But I know this much, that he will hit you, and he will make the tackles, and he's going to give you 100% on every single snap.
All right, something to watch for going forward with Andrew Mukuba likely out for at least a couple of weeks, if not the rest of the season.